You're watching the Tesla Life, live with your host, Mark Coughlin!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 396. Here we are on the 29th of January, 2025. And boy, do we have a show tonight, because of course it was earnings call day today. But first, let's introduce the other co-hosts. We have Mr. Casey Green joining us from mid-Atlantic states. How are you today, sir?
Doing quite well. I've got some good news for me. But we'll get into that later in the show.
That's all part of the show, isn't it, really? Yeah.
It is.
Also with us, Mr. Patrick Connor joining us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello, I'm great. I can't believe Mark pays me to do that intro. That's so much fun.
Oh my gosh! Yep, pays him in what? Dunkin' Donuts or coffee? What?
Timbits.
Timbits. You'll have to cross the border and get some Timbits. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know, we're not across the border anymore. We've been up to semantics. Canada's locked the border down. I'm just joking. This is not. If that happens to pass, that was not present. It was just us goofing around.
Oh, we got all sorts of uncertainty that starts the 1st of February. We don't really know what's going to happen. So everyone's kind of got their eye on many things. So we'll see.
Aren't the prices of Teslas going up on February 1st?
Yep. They're going up dramatically.
So
you've got a day or two to go get your vehicle. Quick, go!
Go!
And they just went up. I say a little bit. They just went up substantially already for those of you that were planning on using the IZEV credit, because that's gone.
Yep.
And unless the new party brings it back, and Tesla had raised their price before that to push them out of the IZEV. I don't know if that was to save it or if they just saw that it was not going to make it through the weekend.
They knew it wasn't going to last. Yeah. So they pushed them up $1,000 at that point. The IZEV credit was worth $5,000, which is now gone.
Right.
And now this big price increase, in some cases, is $4,000 up.
Up to 9.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So it's a real difference maker for many people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So was it basically the thinking would have been like, hey, they can't argue with us if we can prove it didn't qualify to begin with, and then also we're not coming out of pocket by having it so close to the edge, and then the program running out.
Right. When Tesla discovered that the IZEV credit was disappearing in Canada, they decided, well, we may as well raise the price because it doesn't matter. Because if no one can get the IZEV credit anyways because of lack of funds or the funds have run out, then there's no point in us selling the vehicle $1,000 less so it can qualify for that credit, because credit doesn't exist anymore in all real terms. So that was probably a good fiscal move on their part because they knew that it was over.
Yeah.
They knew it before the Canadian public actually knew it. So they had they obviously know some of the inside baseball as to what's going on with that credit. Or
their money people are really good with the math. So how did it work up there before they canceled it? Was it like our current version of the federal, where it was like a point of sale rebate, or was it like
it was a point of sale rebate, but it was a rebate no matter what, so it didn't depend on what taxes you paid. It was just a $5,000 credit at purchase.
So Tesla could have been holding a lot of bag if they didn't preemptively end this thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I've talked to people that are also looking at other vehicles, and some of the dealerships have no clue that the IZEV credit is gone. They're still telling people it's available, and it's long gone. So
I got a full little dealership. Oh, we need to come back in and do the paperwork. We're not giving you
so that could be trouble for some. So I hope
it's in their best interest to be ignorant of that fact and try to get you to sign.
Yep.
Lame.
Yeah.
They come back later. But then there's a couple of competitors who all decided they would rather try and steal that business from somebody who went up.
That's right. There's some that have taken the $5,000 off their car price to compete in the EV market, because of course here in Canada, There are several that you have to qualify by selling X amount of vehicles that are EV compared to gasoline in certain provinces. So they're still, by mandate, having to sell a certain percentage of their vehicles that are clean emissions. So it's still required for some of them to say, you know what, we have to drop the price because we need to still sell them so that we're not getting fined.
It's cheaper to sell them on an EV and give you some of that money than to pay it all on the end, or to however much Tesla's going to charge them for the trade-in.
Exactly. But today, of course, was our earnings call, Q4 2024. Just ended about 20 minutes ago. And Patrick's going to give us a little bit of a rundown of some of the news that came from that conference call.
Sure. Well, the first thing to note was that Musk seemed to be in a good mood, and after hours, the stock is back up over 400. So the market seemed to like the investor deck and the conference call. And before we dive too much into the specifics, I want to give a little perspective. This kind of covers like, why am I a Tesla enthusiast and a long-term investor? Because I'm looking for a company that improves life for everyone on the planet. And Tesla has the profitability that they need to do development, to roll out new products, to help make like more affordable vehicles and autonomy, to reduce the number of fatal crashes that occur every day. And there's no other company that's advancing these two fronts faster than Tesla. So that was, and some of this you'll cover, we'll cover here what they talked about. So Musk's opening comments: Q4 was a record year. They now have an annual run rate of over $2 million. So 2025 could be the year that they finally go over the 2 million mark. And yeah, so we will see how that plays out. I hope you got your guesses in, because today was the deadline. So Musk went on to say that Tesla is laying the groundwork to be the most valuable company in the world with their autonomous vehicles and humanoid robots. 2027 and 2028 will be epic. I don't know what that means about 2025 or 26, but it was funny that he said those years will be epic. If you haven't tried FSD lately, you should certainly give it a try. There have been massive improvements, and I would absolutely agree with that. I was going through a construction area yesterday, and I was ready to take over thinking, oh, there's no way it's going to be able to handle this. And it smoothly went through even a tricky turn where 3 of the lanes were blocked, and it wasn't obvious to me where it was supposed to go. And so I'm ready to, and it went right into the right place. I'm like, oh, it figured it out before I did. That was really cool. So yes, Musk says try it. If you haven't tried it in the last year or so, it's definitely much better. Once cars do have autonomy, their utility can 5x, and there's no historical analogy for this step change that it'll have on humanity. That was an interesting comment. They talked a couple times about being battery constrained. Now, we've heard in the past when they hit battery constraint, and then we've heard, oh, no, they've gotten past that. They went on to say that as cells are coming off the line, they have to make daily decisions about whether they're going to stationary storage or their mobile fleet. So it's certainly a problem, and one that they're working on. And that's great to hear that, you always want to be in a situation where everything you make, you're selling. And people are just saying, please give us more. So you don't want it to be too bad, but they're ramping as fast as they can. Here was a really interesting one. Unsupervised FSD will be launching in Austin in June. Wow. So they plan on the first part of their ride-hail service rolling out. So the cars that are coming out initially will be Tesla-owned vehicles. They are going to use that to work out the billing and the ride-hail app and all the other things. And then next year, people will start to be able to add their own vehicles into that fleet. They also mentioned how right now in Fremont, as cars roll off the factory, they're driving out of the factory autonomously. They're going to the delivery lots autonomously. They're figuring out where to park themselves. And all that's happening every day. They're going to roll that same feature out in Austin soon and in Shanghai. So that's interesting that they're already using it. And that's great. So the world will certainly be different when cars can drive themselves. I'm going to skip around a little bit just because this fits here. there was a conversation in there where they said they have data. They're looking at you through the selfie camera all the time. And there are people that want to look at their phones when they're driving, but it's not an eyes off, hands off system yet. You have to be attentive. It's supervised. And so they get nag warnings if they start looking at their phone. So people are then turning off FSD, steering with their legs and looking at their phone so the car doesn't nag them. And obviously that's a perverse system where you turn off the safety features to drive more dangerously because you want to do something that it didn't allow. So they're trying to figure out how to roll out a solution for that you don't want to turn off the safety features when you need them most, but you also don't want to allow people to do some unsupervised things. So how do you solve that problem? It's an interesting one.
Mild electrical shock.
Yes. People are horrible drivers.
Just make it really uncomfortable when they don't nag them. Just make it really uncomfortable. Like start swaying and braking and accelerating.
But this is when it's under manual control, right? So I mean, but anyway,
like tell people, hey, you no longer have to turn this off. We're no longer immediately flagging you for the phone. We will like 30 seconds, and we won't tag you with the phone. But the minute you pick it up, where they normally would have flagged you, just start being unstable, and then people will be freaked out and won't do it.
Right, that makes their system look unreliable. Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting story that I wanted to share. Optimus, they plan to build 10,000 of them this year. Now, Musk went on to say how the fog of uncertainty is thick here, and there's no supply chain for Optimus parts. They have to design and build everything themselves at this point. Ultimately, the cost of Optimus, their cost of goods will be about half of that of a car, but the sales price will be driven by market demand. So just because it costs them half as much to make doesn't mean they're going to sell it for half the price of the vehicle. That was an interesting one. Energy storage grew by more than 100% in 2024. It's definitely on the hockey stick part of the growth curve. That's great to see. And the grid really benefits from storage. I've talked about it a lot here about having just a few batteries on my house makes a huge difference. At the beginning of the year, I switched over to time of day service from my utility. My first bill from them just came back and it said, you use 0 during peak time. And then it said, continue to reduce your peak usage by doing things like, and it says, like, don't do your laundry during peak times. I'm like, I'm at 0. How much lower do you think I can get? But stop giving me tips on how to reduce it.
Power peak and see what they do.
Yeah. I've actually, yes. We had a VPP event recently, and because I had to change a lot of settings, it didn't go as I wanted. I only exported solar during that time, not battery during that time, so I didn't make as much money as I could. And but anyway, that's I'm working out the kinks on the new system. So next time, I think I fixed it. Next time it'll be better. But it's that is awesome when you have batteries out there, you can tap them when you need them. And it's worth a lot to the grid to have that. Frequency stabilization. They don't have to spin up the peaker plants that are the dirtiest things that they have. So yeah, it's I love to see these big batteries rolling out all around the world. So
like the Navy P chart that I see in a lot of Navy installations when I was younger, there was no good. It was keep going.
Yes.
So they were 0. Like keep going, keep reducing.
Yes. I think they just did not expect. I've seen this multiple times. My bill is like, where's my bill? I didn't get it. And I call them and they go, oh yeah, you're a complex billing system. My energy signature is not like the normal person's at all because of this. Right. And they just, they don't. So yeah, it was stuck for 3 months after. I was calling them every month saying, you got to bill me, even if, you have $180 credit. Yes. But that doesn't mean I don't get a bill. That doesn't mean I get to see my usage. You still have to send it to me. Like, okay, we'll get on that.
The credits, all of it.
Yeah, they had a bug in their system that it only generates a bill if you owe something, not if you have a credit. Anyway, back to Tesla's call. So their CFO, Vaibhav Tanja, came on and talked about the Model Y refresh. All the factories are switching over to it this quarter. There will be some short-term downtime on production, and they're still on track for their more affordable vehicle in the first half of this year. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. You don't put me on the big screen. What happened? There was also one other interesting note he mentioned was Bitcoin. So the accounting practices for Bitcoin changed from something called mark to market, where the lowest value it had during the quarter is what they had to report in their quarterly earnings, regardless of what it was at the moment. And now that rule has been changed. So that actually made their financials look a lot better. But that's not fundamental to Tesla's business. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But going forward, they're going to use this new, better method, and it should not be a factual. You'll see a jump in this one, which was interesting. I think we've covered a lot of the stuff that I know that here's one that Casey wants to talk about. So I'll mention that. So someone asked if FSD unsupervised will work on hardware 3. And they said, we are still working on that. And we're trying to squeeze the model into it and the state and the context in there. And Musk said, let's just tell them that if it's needed, we will do an upgrade. And we're likely going to be doing upgrades. We still don't know for sure, but likely will, and we'll do those. Luckily, not too many people with hardware 3 bought FSD. So Casey's one of them. I was one of them, except I transferred mine to a hardware 4 vehicle. So now I'm not going to be getting that new computer upgrade. But yeah, Casey might.
Yeah, and that is that's the first time they admitted that Musk admitted directly that most likely there will be an upgrade cycle that will have to happen, and he said it'll be difficult, but they'll get it done.
Exactly.
Yeah, they tried to do the same dance they did every time this has come up so far. Like, oh, well, this is optimizing this, that, and the other, and Elon's like, just done with it. You gotta get your upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, they are spending a lot of time trying to squeeze that model into an old inference SoC, and it just doesn't fit. And the amount of engineering effort that takes is costing them more than the cost of the hardware upgrades. Plus, it's taking some of their best people away from advancing it, and instead trying to reduce it and reduce it and reduce it to fit into hardware 3.
Right. Yeah, so that was interesting that they announced that this time. Obviously, Musk decided at some point, or he's come to the realization that you're right. It makes more sense just to move ahead with an upgrade path as opposed to spending time and resources on something that may never work the proper way. And would still end up being a half solution anyways at the end of the day. So it just makes sense to push that along, to move it. But yeah, Musk seemed to be quite positive about the whole thing as he was rolling through on the questions from the investors as well as from the public. And it was an upbeat call.
Yeah. Was there anything particular? I mean, I skipped a lot of stuff because, I mean, if you want to listen to the entire call, it's an hour long. Exactly. I tried to squeeze it in, just the stuff I thought was cool. Yeah. And I'm sure that there are things that if you're in the chat, there's something you want to discuss, throw it in there.
But it's something that that the stock market again took it as positive after hours. And have pushed it up in after hours trading, which is unusual for a Tesla earnings call.
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah.
Usually good or bad, they drop it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Every Tesla event, not even just the conference calls, it's anything. Typical. Yeah. AI day, it dropped like 15% the next week following, which made no sense, but Tesla often talks over the head of financial analysts. They're talking about big future items, and where the analysts are looking for, what can I put in my spreadsheet? I mean, there was even a question, what KPIs are you looking at to determine if you're going to make these goals? And Musk's like, when there's a problem, we fix it. There's no KPIs. It does it work, and does it do what we want? And if not, let's work on it. I mean,
yeah. They were asking about what would trigger you to go back to your teams and make adjustments based on what you're seeing FSD perform or not perform during the next quarter. And it was like I'm talking to the teams that are having issues, that are moving the ball to address those issues. And he said, I'm not speaking to other teams at all because they're doing fantastic. So my time is divided to the problem areas, and I'm going in there to help with those problems and try to advance it a little further down the field for that particular department. And the investor was kind of lost on that answer. He really just didn't understand that. But as Patrick has mentioned, that seems to be the running, answers or questions from analysts, is they just really don't understand it. It's not rocket science. It is although it could be. Another thing was about again, LiDAR came up. And there was a question over and over about LiDAR and why are you not using it? And Elon said, listen, I designed a LiDAR that went on Crew Dragon. And if it was useful for our task here in Tesla, we would use it. But you know what? It's not. So we're not spending our time on it. It makes no sense for us based on the requirements that we need to happen. And again, the analyst asked again about LiDAR, another twisted the question in another way. And it's like, you're just wasting your time, my friend. I don't understand that.
Two good questions on it. The thing I think helped this time around with making it rally afterwards, because the only other time we've seen it do that, 2 times really, were the 420. That went up so high that the market circuit breakers stopped it. And the other time we saw it kind of do this was what they always do when somebody says, "Oh, when we're doing massive layoffs," they're like, "Great!" And that's what happened that time as well. But time was that.
Well, I think the market maybe understood a little bit about the advancement of storage. Maybe they understood a little bit about this. Okay, 10,000 Optimus
optimize.
Optimize, and maybe they understood that the more economical car is coming out in less than 5 months. So there were a number of things that maybe twisted people to say, okay, Tesla's now talking about fundamentals that we understand about volume and about reducing the cost of the car and opening it up to new markets, because if the price comes down, we've got more people that could access that.
But the 2 things that stood out to me that may have helped with that, other than obviously being clear what's going on, was they started with the say.com, which they do in the past, but so much of the say.com was answered in Elon and everybody else's intros that they were able to skip like 90% of the questions that were selected. And the other part of it was the analysts that I caught, I was driving again while this was happening, the analysts that I caught asking questions, they were asking 12 months, not 3 months. Which makes it much more easy for them to speak on Elon's level, not so at his level, but that they could speak the same language, because now you're speaking, all right, 1 year, that's short term for Elon, 1 year, okay, I can do that, versus 3 months. He's like, I don't care about 3 months.
So that's great. We'll have to see if the markets continue to welcome it once the day goes into regular trading. It will be interesting to see if there's any more updates on this. There usually are. We usually get a couple of other updates as the days and weeks go on into a new quarter, and we'll just certainly keep our eye on it as we roll along.
Yeah, I'm really curious what you think this new affordable vehicle is. That just the robotaxi platform, or is there something else? Well, and is it Redwood? Is it Model Q? And in 5 months, the fact that they haven't, I mean, Tesla usually does event launches and then reservations, orders, or sometimes straight to orders, but they've never held something off this long.
No. And I would welcome that if this is new for them, because of course they tend to in the past announce things too early, and then people put off purchasing for a much longer period of time because they're waiting for something.
Right.
But I really think this new model is really going to be close to the 3 or the Y or both. It's going to be darn close. And I think it's just going to be, since they're using the same lines, because they're not building new lines,
Exactly.
then I think this is going to be something that's going to be part constrained. It's going to be less of all the options. And I think just because of the amount that they can exclude from the vehicle, they'll be able to bring the overall cost of the vehicle down and be able to reduce its price somewhat. But I'm not sure it's going to really change too much, because like 5 months is no time whatsoever when it comes to launching a new vehicle. And we've heard nothing about what this really is going to be.
Yeah. Not even a hint, even today, nothing.
Yeah. So
this will be fun.
Yep. Yeah. We're all going to see it. It's coming. It's just a question of timing, and it'll be a question of things that maybe leak. So we'll certainly keep our eyes on that.
Yeah, it will be really fun if they have an event and they say, "Here it is. We're taking orders now. Delivery start next week." That would be so cool.
Yeah, like Apple and Samsung style.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be sharp.
Now, another story that we wanted to, I guess, dive into a little bit, which of course was touched on the earnings call, was this putting FSD to work at the factories.
Yeah.
So we've got now that Fremont factory with a video that Tesla loaded just the other day to show that as the vehicles are rolling off the line, as Patrick had mentioned, that they're heading over to the delivery area within Fremont factory. Distance about 1.2 miles. And the vehicles do have to navigate intersections, stops and slowdowns, curves and straights in order to get to their final destination. And they're being released right off the factory floor to follow the path to get over there. And there were some questions about people saying, well, why does it take, 25 or 30 miles to train FSD if this thing is coming off the factory line with 0 miles and it's immediately driving in FSD over to its destination?
Because it doesn't need training anymore.
Exactly.
Before it leaves the building.
What also it could be is that they've already uploaded the training into the vehicles as part of the core software that's in the car. Like it's only 1.2 miles. There's only so many deviations that could happen. Maybe the software is just auto, available to run that route because they've programmed that in, or the variables in at least.
Yeah, camera calibration. Go ahead.
So the cameras are calibrated before it leaves the building. The only real wiggle room there is, are they putting it on the little eye testing rig that we saw a couple times where it's got the targets all around? Or is it literally doing the same calibration it does with us while it's driving down the road, looking at its body, looking at lines on the road, and they just optimize that, hey, look for all this crap in the factory, and if you see all these, you're good to go. And those are the only real two ways to do it, unless, like Mark said, if they just preload in all the stuff. But then you got a problem if a technician puts the wrong camera in the wrong place, or the angle just happens to be just a little bit off, like maybe there's a clip not in, and it can drive with that clip not in. But if you got the calibration wrong, it's gonna make a big difference, because that 1 millimeter, it adds up once you add in the feet and miles.
Yeah, it also could be that they've been running this camera calibration once the customer has it now for years. So there could be some efficiencies they've gained over time to understand that, okay, if we dial this in a little bit differently at factory, the time for it to actually need calibration is greatly reduced, and in some cases eliminated. So that might be some of it too. Interesting.
I really like this idea of if they had certain calibration lines that as it drives out, that's what it's using to calibrate as it drives. That and if you say, okay, if you put them in certain places and you tell it what to expect and it adjusts based on that, then it can be calibrated automatically. I know in 2023 when I picked up my car, the drive home, I could not engage FSD because it needed so many miles before the cameras were calibrated. So yeah,
same here.
that'd be cool. Yeah. So if
I'm gonna
now
get
they can drive out calibrated,
Yeah.
and that means when the customer picks it up, they can turn it on. That's awesome.
Yeah. So same when they upgraded FSD for me, and then also when they replaced the pillar cam, I had to recalibrate as well. Not as
Mm.
long because it's one camera, I guess, but it still knocked me out for a moment. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
so that's really cool. I think it's probably going to be like either items in the factory or a new version of that eyeglass rig, because there's no way they're pulling each of them into a slot, sitting them for a couple minutes and then pulling them back out of the slot. It's just not efficient.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice in this photo also that they've really narrowed the road. That's some of the path that this vehicle goes on autonomously. So having a blacked out wall on the one side, I wonder if that's on purpose, or is that just common for the Tesla layout, and they've always had the black wall, or has the black shading been added to the chain link fence for this specific purpose?
I don't think it's for this. There's probably something going on like dust mitigation or some kind of like construction they're getting ready to do or something like that. But what's really cool about it is look at the spacing on these cars. They're all just going along, and unless somebody else is coming in like in like a yard gator or in their own car, there's nothing to interfere with them, so they can just go and mosey about. And
Mm-hmm.
and also notice the width of that road is the same width as the Cyber Tunnel.
That's
Uh,
exactly what I was going to say. Is that looks like a lot like a boring company tunnel with the way the white lines are painted down the side.
and perfectly straight like one too. So
Mm-hmm.
another thing you'll notice is on the Cyber Tunnel video that they gave us recently, it doesn't look like the safety driver is moving his shoulders or his arms at all as it gets to that right turn sweep at the end of the tunnel opening. Is that because it's on FSD? Question mark.
Mm.
Could be, yeah. It could be
And so
they're doing a little training and just making sure that everything is proper coming out of that tunnel.
the
Mm-hmm.
Quad Squad had noticed that all of the vehicle factories, so all 4 of the factories that make whole cars come out of them, because they've got 6 factories and they don't all make cars. Well, 8 factories,
Mm-hmm.
they don't all make cars. Uh, they all have fresh line markings on the arrival bays and on the lanes leading up to them. And so we were suspecting maybe they're all already doing this, or they're all about to already be doing this soon. And then Elon let it be known on the call that yes, Fremont now going on to Texas next, and then the other 2 will pick it up probably in short order. I guess Shanghai last, based on what he told us for the geolocation and training data issues they have. But they own the factory, and I think that's a little different than just the generic data in China problem they'll have.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have video of that, Mark?
I don't have the video. No.
I'd pull it up, but you see that my camera is too much for it already. So
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next story. And of course, Casey's going to know about this because it's involving superchargers. And Casey is our Mr. Supercharger. This one is about an upgrade that has just happened.
Yes. So this one I got on everybody's case about how they titled it because it was not precise enough. So what's happened is the V3 pluses, they have all been upgraded worldwide to or at least nationwide, I should say, because that's the only place that the Cybertruck is supposed to be. So continent-wide in North America, the V3 pluses have been upgraded to 325 kilowatts. So the Cybertruck can run at 325, as well as the Lucid Gravity and the Lucid Air, if you get an adapter for that one. But the Lucid Gravity can do it too. They can do the full 325 kilowatts that the upgraded V3 pluses are able to handle. The reason I took issue with this is because they're like, version 4 is ready to go at 325. No, that's because then everybody says, well, why is it not 500? There are no V4 fulls out there yet, but they would be 500 when they're fully deployed, not rolling in and all that testing, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm expecting that to happen any month now, any week now. But the V3 pluses, they was just a sampling of them we got at the end of December. Like maybe was it 13 or 10 of them, and now the whole North American fleet. If you see a V4 dispenser, you can get your Cybertruck or your Lucid up to the maximum 325 that equipment can handle.
Yeah, so that's again, progress. We've always known that when Tesla rolls out something, when it went from V2 to V3, there was always this progression where they would roll out so much of the speed, and over time they would massage it, make it a little better, look at the stats again, and then push it to its peak and where it ultimately sits at. So they've always been cautionary when it comes to rolling out, especially supercharger, whatever juice they're putting into the vehicles, that they want to roll that out cautiously and make sure that it's not affecting anyone's batteries and in turn warranties. They're trying to keep everything on an even keel and make sure that the chemistry is acting as they expect it should.
Yes.
Next, want to talk a little bit about, of course, newly released Model Y Juniper has now been released to multiple places, but there was someone in the showroom that was able to film the rim and the wheel cover, and I thought I would just share that with everybody to take a look. Let's grab that video.
And if you've seen Mark's old wall, you know how much he loves wheel covers.
Yeah. But you'll notice that you've got to pull out all 5 flanges first.
All the pedals?
And then pull gently close to the center to release it. And I'm thinking there's a lot of people that might snap because they're too impatient to pull all 5 flanges first. Before they actually remove the cover. See, he's unclipping each section.
Yeah.
And then
I really like the look of it without the cover.
Yeah.
That looks pretty snazzy.
Yeah. And then once they're all loose, then he pulls on the center and it releases it. And again, I've always found that Tesla rims themselves that are underneath the wheel covers, they always typically look fantastic. And again, this is no slouch either. Like the look of this as Patrick does.
Definitely.
I wonder if they're going to.
Go
ahead, Casey.
Also, notice how much less material they're using. So, I mean, it's got those pedals, which seem kind of flimsy and cheap. And yes, exactly. So now that means you're not hauling around this extra material. You're basically got skin for this beautiful wheel to help make it more aerodynamic. It costs them less. It costs you less. And I think that is another evolution right there. Although I really hope it's robust enough that people don't accidentally crack it on the way out.
Yeah, because you can definitely see that it's flexing close to the center, and if you probably don't get all 5, you're going to put a lot of strain on it.
Yeah, do you think they'll sell the hub replacement kits to go if you pull that? The nice thing, they absolutely should. And Mark made a video on how to install those. Back
we had a short on that. So now this is going to be a little bit different. The cap may be a different size, not sure, but it's again, it follows the same pattern that other Teslas do. Is that they typically allow if you have covered wheels to remove the cover and add lug nut caps and a center cap. And you've got a different looking Tesla. Like that's all there is to it.
Yeah, that and you're not taking that cover on and off often. So I mean, you might want to put it back on for a long road trip, or you might just charge the 30 seconds longer, or whatever difference it makes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, here's another story. Again, with the Model Y, we've had actually in the first 5 days of ordering that took place, they received 70,000 orders. So a good chunk of orders came out in the first 5 days. Obviously, people knew the Juniper was coming, and I'm sure there were a lot of people that were just holding back and waiting. And as we've seen now, the Juniper has been not only introduced in Shanghai, but it's moved now to Europe. It's moved to North America. In fact, even here in Canada, there are some new Junipers that are sitting in showrooms across this country, as well as obviously the United States, where they have many of them. But One other piece of information is there has been some information about the Juniper missing the logo at the center of the hood,
Yep.
the frunk. But yet there are some other photos out there showing that it does have the T logo. So
Yep.
I'm kind of confused as to which one is which, and I'm not seeing specifically. They're not saying like the cars coming out of Fremont do not have it, or the cars coming to Shanghai always have it. Like, I'm not seeing any specifics on this, and I was wondering if you guys had heard anything about this.
What I've noticed so far, and other people have pointed out to me, is that some Shanghais have it, and the rest don't.
Any particular ones? Like, I don't know. The performance model's not out yet, so that's
No. They're all just the launch edition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you think they would be consistent if they're all the same edition?
I wonder if they're just different lines at Shanghai. Like, this is the way Line 3 always does it. We put a badge on it. And because Fremont doesn't have any, and Texas doesn't appear to have any. So, and Germany is a little bit harder to nail down, but I don't suspect that they have it either.
Yeah, I wonder if there was just one line that still had a few extra parts in their bin and just used them until they were gone.
Probably out, yeah.
Maybe it was just miscommunication, right? Like we always put a badge on the car, and
right.
This particular shift wasn't told we don't put badges on the car for whatever reason.
And they've just been doing it a long time. Hopefully they're not ordering more. Oh man, that would be weird.
Here's a shot of one in the actual showroom with no badge.
Mm-hmm.
But the next photo is one with a badge.
Mm-hmm.
But notice the license plate is that Euro style, the Chinese style.
That's Euro style.
I really like the new Y. I mean, so you were talking about how there are people who were waiting. I did the opposite and bought in 2023 because I was like, okay, I want to buy this before Juniper comes out because I want the turn stock. Well, my concern was not. I wasn't the only one telling Tesla they should keep turn stocks.
That's right.
Turn signals are important. Until you can remove the steering wheel completely, let's keep that there.
Yeah, there were several larger people that told them as well. Not like massive, but like quantity.
Yes. I don't care how tall they were, Casey.
So we had a bunch of German driving schools, and then we had a bunch of European, what they call business cars, basically the car that your work puts you in for work. And they wanted the turn signals, not on the steering wheel. So for now, this will take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting when I took out the Model 3 for a spin for a test drive, the new Highland. When I got back, I had the person that handed me the keys ask me a number of questions about what I liked, what I possibly didn't like, and I pointed out that I thought it was a mistake for the turn signal to be removed. Certainly you could get used to it. You would get used to it. But I just thought that in roundabouts, which are plentiful in my area of the country, I felt it was going to be difficult with the wheel turned, over upside down to figure out which button to press as your hand has moved because of the roundabout. So I thought that was a kind of an oversight. Maybe many people told them, and that's where we ended up, getting them back.
Yeah, and it's not like where your hands don't hand over hand. They do it a couple times, and that makes it more confusing.
Yeah. So I again, the look of the Model Y, I think it's been refined a little bit. And what I really look forward to is maybe some of the underpinnings that we don't know about yet. Like we heard about the Model 3 Highland, how they had improved the suspension, how they were able to deaden the noise in the cab even further, because of course, again, the iteration that Tesla does with their product, and the the feedback they're getting from not only the data the car collects, but of course the people that buy it. So I look forward to hearing more about Juniper and how it has made the Model Y an even better vehicle, because of course, certainly the outside of the car still looks spectacular to me. I think it's a nice step. I really like that light bar in the back of the car that the Tesla letters are embedded. It almost glows. I don't know if you guys were able to see. Brian from Futuraza was able to go to a Washington location, and he actually was able to get in front of a Juniper and see the subtleties. It was kind of interesting to see what he saw that was different in person.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I can't wait till I can test drive one. That'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You know, I've actually never driven a Y.
Oh,
yeah.
You should try it. Yeah, I gave the same feedback. I went and test drove the new X before we bought our Y, because I had an X previously, and I gave them the same feedback about the turn signal.
Yeah. So they must have received just a flood of it. Like it must have been overwhelming. Now, what will be interesting is, will the Model 3 Highland get that turn signal back maybe half a year from now, when they,
I think all their vehicles should bring it back.
They might. But see, what I think is going to happen here is they previewed it for us on the on either on the call or in the report. They said that this was the best-selling car in the world, and they anticipate. They said 2024. I don't know if they meant 2025, but they said 2024 is going to be the best-selling car. I'm like, it just was. So you must mean 25. So assuming that correction in my head that yes, for 25 they still expect it to be the best-selling car, then yeah, you don't really want to rock the boat on something so simple that you could save sales over it on the most popular car.
Exactly. Yeah, Derek in the chat asked the same question earlier. Do you think the turn signal will come back for the Model 3? And I think, Derek, my guess would be at over 50% it's coming back, just based on them putting it in the new Model Y Juniper. So
yeah,
we will see. We will see.
Like, hey, you bring it into service, we'll pop this in for you, and then we can save the money on the people who don't care either way.
Well, I noticed that even some of the third-party suppliers out there were starting to make their own turn signals that would harness in and allow users to use either the buttons on the wheel or use the new turn signal as well. So
I think that was a mistake not to do them both on the Highland when they decided they were going to do the stock. They should have left them there. And perhaps maybe right now you've got a pair of customizable option buttons. Perhaps make it a pair that if you put any of those options would be a turn signal, then they both turn into the appropriate turn signal. But if you don't, then you can use two something else's right there.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think we will wrap it for this show. And let's go to shout outs. Oh, certainly, if you're out there watching this, please give us a thumbs up on the video. It would really help us out. We would appreciate it. And it helps us gets our show in front of more eyeballs. And for us.
Going forward, we've got on Friday we've got the Tesla Life Express Edition 1, and then on Sunday we've got Let's Chat with Casey and Friends right here, same times, not same time, not same place, right here above my head, my little circle, youtube.com/Casey Green at about 1:10 Eastern on Sunday, and then on Monday at the same time, same place, we will be on the Tesla Life Express Edition 2, and then come back 1 week from now. But at the start of the show, and you'll see Tesla Life alive again. Because if you come back same time 1 week from now, you'll see us say goodbye. Not that useful.
Very good, very good, Patrick. What do you got for us?
I have a little EV adventure coming up. I have to move a Chevy Spark about 85 miles, and it's only got about 60 miles of range, and it has no fast charging. So this will be quite the adventure.
All in some some portable batteries, or
No, there's plenty of charging infrastructure. So we're going to drive about halfway and stop and let it charge while we get some lunch and take a walk and whatever. And so yeah, we'll be charging for an hour or two. But it'll be fun. It's just the old days of EV driving when you had to do guerrilla charging and find any outlet you can and make it work somehow. But it's not quite that bad.
Is that one of the kids in school status?
What's that?
Is that when the kids changed in school status?
Oh, just the kid needs the car and for getting around, and so
you got to get a transport to the area where it's going to be used.
Yeah, we were talking about getting a trailering it down, and we're like, let's just try driving it, and it'll be an adventure one way or the other. We'll make it work.
I call it, but I think it's pushing the wise limits, especially once you add in the car hauler trailer.
I had a daughter that had a Spark as well, and but we held out till we got a Spark with fast charging.
Nice.
So we were able to do a full charge in about 19 minutes because of the small battery. But we could go level 3 to level 3. It would obviously you have to charge multiple times, but you didn't have to do the level 2 wait, which depending on circumstances can seem like a long time.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I certainly played that game with the Leaf, short range, and we made some road trips with it. It's not easy, but yeah, you can do it.
You can do it
with patience.
And I think we've all been spoiled now that we have the Tesla, and it's like we don't even give a thought to range anxiety anymore. It's completely out of our worlds.
Right. Yeah. With our Y, we can drive all
trip.
With our Y, we can do this trip all the way there and back without even stopping for charging. And the only time we have to stop is if, I forgot to charge the car. Oh, well, no big deal. We make a 20-minute stop and go on. So yeah, it is easy to get spoiled. So yeah, that's why we say range is, if you're considering upgrades, get the bigger battery. That's the upgrade you should get first before anything else.
Yep.
Yes. All right. So for my usual shout outs, I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, where I write about my future free from fossil fuels. Up there now, I've got what to expect from Tesla in 2025. Check it out.
Bada boom. And Patrick's usually pretty good at this. So let's take a look at what he's got and be amazed.
Check it out. carswithcords.net. Well, we thank you so much for watching today. We will be back again a couple times through the week. Make sure you're subscribed and you'll be notified when we put these videos up. So thanks very much, and we'll talk to you later. And we want to say special thanks to Lee Moon for using his music during the show. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lee Moon.
Stay positive. Test negative.
There you go.